Hey everyone, my name is Riley, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can use Kajabi's email automations. Kajabi has some of the most powerful email automations of any email marketing tool out there, even though it is mainly a course builder. So in this video I'm going to walk you through them, mainly focusing on things like tags and triggers because these are the main things that people are looking for, but I will also touch on a few other things. Now, before we jump into this, I do want to give you an offer, which is a 30-day free trial for signing up to Kajabi using my link. Usually with Kajabi, the open to the public offer is a 14-day free trial, but I can offer you a 30-day free trial by using my link. Also, on top of this, if you do sign up using my link, I will give you access to the Holden Academy Elite package, which includes 2 of my courses. One of them will teach you how to use Kajabi. The other one will teach you how to go from 0 to 10K per month with digital products. And you also get access to my digital product community where you get one-on-one access with me. So jumping into Kajabi with the email automations and email triggers that we are going to be talking about in this video. To access these, we first of all want to go into marketing right here, and then we have 2 different options for how we can get into emails, and it's going to take us to 2 different areas. So we have email campaigns and then we have automations. Now, before we go into automations, because this is a little bit more technical, I do want to first touch on automations within email because this is something that people might be interested in as well. So if we go into email campaigns, what we can do, and just ignore these are just some test emails that I played around with. But if we go into email campaigns right here, you can see we have 2 different types of emails that we can create. We can create an email broadcast, which is like a standard one-off email. You just write this email out and you can send that instantly to your list. Or we have email sequences. So what an email sequence is this might be what you're thinking of when you think of an email automation. Because with an email sequence, what we can do is, I'm just going to call this YouTube test demo. We can go into this. We can essentially create an automated email sequence without even touching any of these automations right here. So we have just some email templates that we can choose from, but I'm going to go with the classic editor, just a standard text editor. And what we can do is we can actually set these up to go out day by day. We can write these out once, and then we can send these out automatically. So what I might do is I might set this to day 0 as soon as somebody subscribes to this email sequence. And we can say, welcome to Holden Academy, right? And then we would go down and we would just do the same for the subject. So this is what they see in their email. And then we can go through and we can write out the email right here and click on save. And then once this is saved, this is immediately right. So as soon as somebody subscribes to this, then we could go down and we could send a second email, and we could send this on day 1. So the next day, we can then choose the time that this is going to be sent out. And we could say your free gift, just as an example, copy this into the subject. And then once again, we could write out this email. So following this, we can now go through and add all of these automated emails to go out one after the other. You can set these as far apart as you like. And this is kind of in some way some email automation. And then what we can do up here at the top is we can set a trigger. So as soon as somebody fills out one of our opt-in pages or they subscribe to a course, one of these options, they will then be added to this email sequence that will go out automatically. So as an example, we could add a trigger right here, and we can say that when this person submits a certain form, just like this, which form is this going to be? This ebook form right here, this is the one I set up, then they are going to be subscribed to this email sequence. So there is a lot of triggers that we can add here. So we can add triggers like when a tag is added, and I'll show you how to add tags later on, when a certain email is opened, when they have completed an email sequence. So what we could do in here is, let's say we set this to once an email sequence is completed, we could find one of our other email sequences like this. And then what we are saying is as soon as somebody receives the last email from the previous email sequence, they're now going to be added into this email sequence. So this is how we can set up some triggers right here. We can see like event is registered when a person has been inactive for 7 days. So in this example, what we might want to do is we could set up an email campaign right here. We could set up an email sequence and we could call this inactive. And then in here, we might just send like a little 3 email sequence if somebody's been active for 7 days, just saying basically like, hey, you haven't opened my emails in a while. Are you still interested? If you are, reply to this email. So we could fill all of these out here. I'll just say, are you interested? This is not a very good title for an email, but this is just an example. We could drop this in right here. And then for the trigger, we could say, subscribe this person when they have been inactive for 7 days, right? Or 30 days, let's say. Then they are going to be subscribed to this email sequence, which is inactive. So those are just some of the triggers that we can get right there. So that's how you can do this in the email campaigns area. Or alternatively, we can go to automations and we can do this on more of a broad spectrum. So rather than being in an email sequence and choosing it specifically for that, we can set this up in this way. So we could go to automations right here. And once again, with all of these triggers, we're going to see the same thing. So we can choose the trigger when an assessment is complete, when a certificate is sent, when a tag is added or removed, when they open a certain email broadcast. All of these are going to be the same. So we have all of these different options, right? And I'm also going to show you now how you can add tags into this. So what we could do is we could say when an email sequence is completed, and then we can choose one of these email sequences. Let's go for the Kajabi members. So once this email sequence is completed, then we want to add a tag to them. So we could go in here and we could say we want to add a tag. And the tag that we are going to add is going to be completed. Kajabi members sequence, right? And we can add this in right here and click on save. So as soon as they complete that, this is now going to be added in. They're added a tag, completed Kajabi members sequence. And now what we can do is we can take these tagged people, now we have them as tagged, and we can maybe create another email sequence for them. So we could go back into email campaigns right here and create a new one. And let's just say that this is members sequence 2, right? We can drop this in, create this email sequence right here. We could say you're onto the next steps. Drop this in. And then what we can do in here is we can go back to the automations. We can take this tagged person by adding a new automation. So when a tag is added, which tag is this going to be? Completed Kajabi members sequence. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add them to a new sequence. So we could subscribe them to a new email sequence. And we can add them to the one that we just created, Kajabi members 2. Right? Now, what we could also do is we could say if somebody's been inactive for a certain amount of time, we can tag them as that as well. So we could say when somebody has been inactive for 7 days, we could go in here and we could add a tag. And for the tag, we're going to add a new one. We're going to say inactive. Right? And then we can do it this way as well. Now they have a tag. We can go in, we can add a new automation right here. And we can say that when a tag is added, the inactive tab, and then we are going to add them to that new email sequence. So we'll say subscribe to an email sequence, subscribe them to inactive, and we can do it this way as well. So those are the main automations that you need to know about. These are just like assessment is completed is like in a course. You might add some assessments to your courses. So it might be when an assessment is complete, what we might want to do. I don't have any right here. I don't have any created, but what we could do is we could go down to like send them an email. And then we could add the email right here and say like, congratulations for completing your assessment. This is your certificate or something like this. Then certificate is sent. Once again, we can send an email. We could maybe even add this person to a specific list. So we would select the certificate and then we can add a tag and we can say has XYZ certificate. And then with this, now that they have been added to this, I can't add this because I don't have the certificate created. But you imagine once they have this tag that says they have this certain certificate, we could create maybe an entirely new email sequence just for people who have this certificate. So maybe in here, we could go ahead and say, if the email is clicked right. So if somebody's inactive, but they open one of our emails, then what we can do is we can actually remove the tag inactive. Because they're no longer inactive, they clicked into one of our emails. So we can do it that way as well. But for the rest of these, like offer is purchased, we could add a tag right here. If a lesson is complete, you get the idea. We look for certain triggers, we can add tags to these, or we can just send them an email straight away. And that is how you can use email automations on Kajabi.